Hi everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Madeline Garcia, and I'm the lead teaching artist for youth programs at Minnesota Center for Book Arts. Normally, I'm helping to plan, prep, and teach lots of the youth classes that come through the Book Arts Center. And that's normally every day, and it's awesome. But because of the COVID-19 panic, and the stay-at-home order, I'm home, probably like many of you. And so I have this virtual photo-lawn series. This is the 5th video in the series, so if you'd like to see the first 4, which you definitely should, you can go to our website, mnbookarts.org, or on any of our social media platforms. On our website right now, you can also find other adult virtual classes that we're just starting to offer, as well as information about the 2020 Minnesota Book Awards, which is happening on Tuesday, April 28th at 7 p.m., and that'll also be virtual, and that's super exciting. We are a nonprofit. We focus on storytelling and engagement with the book form through classes, also exhibitions, artist opportunities, and we have a shop and a library, and then access to materials and equipment. So many of those things are currently on pause, but we're just starting to get them going again remotely. So for this episode, we are going to be making a tunnel book, which is super fun and very versatile. So here's the example that I made. It says, "Where's that worm?" And inside we have a little worm floating here between the foreground, middle, and background. So that is something very special about this book. Works really great with scenes that have depth. And maybe also if your students or you yourself as a kid are learning about these things, this is a great way to practice them. So to make this book, and it won't have the content in it, that'll be up to you. You'll need a few materials. You will need one 4.5 by 11 sheet of paper for the front cover. You'll need one 4.5 by 5.5 sheet of paper for the back cover. And you'll need two 4.25 by 3-inch pieces for the spines of this book. This book does have 2 spines, which makes it different and special. You'll also need a few supplies to make this book. You will first need a glue stick and a bone folder. You'll also need a pencil and a ruler. I was wondering if the street sweepers were going to go by right as I was doing this lesson, and of course they are. It's part of being from home and being adaptable right now. The last thing you'll need is waste sheets, and I recommend using pages of a magazine once you've read it. And these are super important because they'll keep our book clean from glue as well as our working surface. If you don't have a bone folder on hand, you can also use the side of a ruler. And I would recommend getting one of these. They're super helpful. I recently found out that dogs love them too, which is pretty hilarious. But they're a great tool for all sorts of bookmaking. Awesome. So I'll go ahead and demonstrate and talk everyone through the steps here. Feel free to pause if you need to catch up or ask a question, and I'll try and answer it. The first thing we'll do is work on the cover of our tunnel book. And we'll just start by folding it in half. You've heard this a lot if you've been watching these videos at this point, but we do something called a hold and fold technique at the Book Arts Center, and that's holding the paper down while we fold it. A lot of folks' first instinct is to try and fold the paper in the air, but as soon as you set it down, it moves. So we're just striving for the most perfection we can get in this book. But it doesn't have to be perfect. We could go out and purchase a book if we wanted a perfect book. Okay, once your corners are right on top of each other, you'll go ahead and take your finger and slide it over and crease the fold of the book. And then you'll come in with your bone folder, holding it just like so with your thumb on one side and 4 fingers on the other side. And you'll hold it just like this. And you'll go back and forth about 2 times, creating a really crisp fold. So we have our cover here, but we are going to want to cut the tunnel shape out of one side of it. So we'll do this by doing some quick measurements with our ruler. We want to have a 3/4 inch window for this size book. So I'm just going to go ahead and mark 3/4 of an inch, and then I will draw a line on each side, and I'll have at the end of this just a smaller rectangle within this sheet. So I'm just measuring 3/4 of an inch from each side, and I'll show you what that looks like in just a moment. When we're teaching this at the Book Art Center, we have pre-cut templates that are these measurements, but if you're making just one of a book, I don't think it makes sense to make a template for it. However, if you do get into these and make a bunch, you should certainly do so. Okay, so we just have a rectangle here within one of the covers of our book. Oh my goodness, I forgot to put out my scissors. And mention that you'll need scissors for this step of the book. Luckily, I have all my supplies at my ready. Okay, so we're going to cut this center rectangle out of our cover. And the way that we'll do that is by bending our cover, but not folding it. So just bending it and then puncturing the center, making a quick cut there. And then we can just go ahead and cut out this center rectangle. I find that I have the most control of my scissors if I bring the paper all the way to the back of the shears, which I'm going to do when making this book. And as you start to make more of these books, maybe you'll find that you want a smaller tunnel hole or window. Maybe you'll want to cut out just a specific shape. Maybe it won't be a rectangle. And you can definitely experiment with that. Set my scraps aside, and I'll have something that looks like this that opens up. Oh, hi. And there's the beginning of the tunnel book. I'm going to set this aside as we move on to the spines of our book. So we have 2 4¼ by 3 inch sheets here. We'll start by folding them in half. When you're folding your book, if you realize it's a little bit hard to fold and your folds kind of have not so smooth edges, that's probably because your paper is going against the grain. So paper, just like wood, has a grain to it, and we try and fold alongside the grain. If that happens to you, you can just cut paper going the other orientation. So I have one folded in half, and I'll do the other. And I'm just using a hold and fold technique here, taking my time to line up those corners and creasing with my finger, and then using my bone folder. So now I have 2 little tents here. Now with one of them, you'll notice, or with both of them, that on one side it's folded and the other side has 2 loose sheets of paper. I'm just going to grab the top sheet here, kind of like I'm peeking into the book, and I'm just going to fold this sheet in half. Now this is a little hard because our paper is a little bit small here, but I trust we can all do it. I'm going to come back in with my bone folder, and I'll have something that looks like this. And then I'm gonna flip this over and do the same thing with the other side, folding this last bigger sheet in half. It's getting to be a really small piece of paper. I'll bone fold that, and then the big reveal. This is an M fold. This is a fundamental fold in bookmaking, and it's used in a lot of book structures, so hats off to you for making that. We'll go ahead and do the exact same thing with our other spine. This is also the basis for accordion books, so if you wanted a really simple accordion book, you would just start out with an M fold. So I'm doing the same thing to my other spine here. And voila, we have 2 M folds. Obviously, stands for Madeline. Okay, so let's set these up now. Let's flip them over so that they look something like this. I like to call this a witch's hat, or maybe it's a traffic cone. That's another good one. In just a moment, we are going to apply glue to one of the brims of the witch's hat, or top part that holds up a traffic cone. And this is a great time to use our handy dandy waste sheets. So I'll just show you where I'm gonna put glue with my pencil here so everyone at home can see, just along the top of one of these tabs here. So I have my waste sheet under my spine, and then I'm also going to have my back cover sheet ready. All right, so I'm gonna apply a flat and thin layer to this tab here. I'm also gonna fold my waste sheet in half and just trap that glue inside. And then I'm gonna come in with my back cover here and lay it directly on top of this tab so that it lines up with the fold we've already made. I'm gonna come back in with my favorite tool, my bone folder, and secure that. So you'll have something that looks like this. And then on the back side, we have one of the tabs of our spine here. Wonderful. We'll do the exact same thing with the other spine on the other side of our back cover here. So I'll apply glue to one of the tabs. All right, and then I'll slide the other side of the back cover on top, making sure it's nice and snug, and then bone folding it down. And that will give me something that looks just like this. Could be little frog legs, but it's actually the back cover of our tunnel book with the 2 spines coming forward. I'm going to use my waste sheet once more and put it under the top piece of paper on one of the spines. So I just slid it under this top sheet, and I'm protecting the rest of the spine in the book from glue. And I'm going to apply glue once more. Wow, glue stick opened one-handed. I feel like that's the equivalent of cracking an egg in cooking. Okay. So a nice even layer of glue here. Actually going to get this out of the way this time. Don't want to use it again. And then I'm going to apply this center part of my tunnel cover here. So this tab that's connected to the center fold, I'm going to apply that directly on top of that glued spine tab, and then I'll open it up and bone fold it down. So you should have something that looks like this, that opens up here, and then we have this wonderful area to glue things in here. I have not glued down the other side of the tunnel yet, and I actually like to wait to do that until after I've added content to my book. So if you want, you can just make a little squiggle on the top part of this tab. Maybe you just want to write the word glue here. And that'll just be a reminder that after you add your background and you glue things to the sides of these tabs that will be in the middle ground, you'll want to secure that. But this looks wonderful. Hopefully yours looks similar. Hopefully you have different colors. And hopefully you're inspired to do more and go on and add some content to your book. I do want to show you a few examples with content. This is another one I made that's the same size. So it says, "Where's my keys?" And then it says, "Under my sweater, phone, chapstick, gum, hair tie, clips, wallet, water bottle, spare change, and earrings at the bottom of my bag." So for this book, and there's those keys, I've glued things to the background. I've also glued things to this tab of the spine that's in the middle, and then I've glued things to the foreground. So it's a pretty fun 3D scene that moves around a little bit. I do also have some other examples I've made, and these are portraits. So you definitely don't have to keep your book as a landscape. This one is pretty silly. It's a little meat shop I made. It's pretty fun. It's mostly cut paper and then pen on top of that. Why I made this book? Couldn't tell you. I have another example here that's called Cha-Cha's Spa Day. This is one of my parents' dogs that I grew up with. So we have a little chihuahua here in a bubble bath. Some nice cut paper tile here. I have a few bigger examples here. And you can definitely, if you have bigger paper on hand, just size everything up. I did not make this one, but it's called Who? And there's some owls flying here. And this one is so adorable. It's called 10 Bunnies in a Window. We have all 10 here. I love how they've transformed the tunnel window actually into a window. I think that is so smart. Yeah, you could definitely cut out any shape you want here. For my book that I just made, I was going to glue some clouds into the background, and then I wanted to glue an airplane wing into the foreground to mimic the view that you get when you're looking out of an airplane. Please share your books with us. We would love to see them. Hopefully right now you're going to finish them because you feel so inspired. If you do decide to share them, please use the hashtag #homeboundedition so we can find them. Also, please share this video, especially if you know any crafty kids or adults looking to add some art into their week. We would love that. Also, please tune in next week. I'm super excited. Oh, here it is. We are going to be walking through how to make a flag book. And this book is super fun. You already have a head start on folding accordions with the end fold that we just did. This book is so great. So tune in then. Also, if you are able to support MCBA at this time, we would greatly appreciate that. On our website, there are opportunities to donate and also become a member, which is wonderful. You could also purchase a gift card to our store, which you could use when it reopens. Head to mnbookarts.org. There's a lot of good stuff there. Thank you so much for tuning in. See you next week.